if they just all of a sudden go like this and talk about something else I didn't expect, or they talk about it in a different way, or they bring in some like different language, I love it. And I'm like, oh, it's not me. I would never say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a strange thing, because I think that's probably I'm going to say the worst thing, or the most uncomfortable thing, is trusting that it is indeed them and not you. We are emphatically, are you laughing?
I'm smiling.
We are emphatically delirious at this. This is funny, actually, because from my perspective, when I'm channeling, because I'm able to hear everything they're saying slightly before I say it, and I don't know if it's always a hearing, sometimes it's just a knowing. One of the challenges for me is to keep on channeling and not judge the content or the material, or have a response to it. And so when they said this, and I think there was laughter when they said this, I think they were using the language they did so that I would start talking about this.
That's really funny. I was going to say, because this is like what I was wanting to hear.
I think it is what they wanted. They wanted me to talk about, they wanted me today to talk about what it is like on my side of channeling. And and I was a little reticent. And I think this is their way of doing it, because I can hear everything.
Yeah.
It's challenging for me to just say everything, and so they were saying language that was funny to me, and I didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
And so, but I kept on hearing it and hearing it. So I'm like, okay, I have to say this. But then it's like, seriously. So it's funny. Okay. So one of the aspects of being the channeler, which is interesting, is I don't know what it's like to be a trance channeler. I haven't experienced that, at least in this lifetime. Have not experienced that. So I only know what it's like to have this experience with them, and it's a very conscious experience.
Yeah.
And I can respond any way I want to them at any time. And it's a telepathic communication, so I can ask them any question. And in fact, if I have a question, it just goes to them. It's not like I have to form in my head, okay, I want to ask this, which I can do, but I can just have a question and they hear it and then they respond to it. Mm-hmm. And so there can be that telepathic communication. And it is interesting because I don't really know what the difference is between that communication and channeling. I guess the only difference is I'm saying it for other people. Because I can just have conversations with them telepathically. So I guess my question for them is, will that be the same? I mean, I can't imagine that it's going to be the same for anybody. Everybody's different and unique.
Sure.
So every channeling experience is going to be unique,
yeah.
Right? So I'm really interested to hear from others, from the viewers, of what their experience is when this starts to happen, when they start to channel, and what their experience is.
Yeah.
So my question for them right now is, will it be a telepathic communication that everyone can do like I do? So I'm just going to see what they have to say, okay?
Sure.
Thank you, Lori dear, for speaking about what we were hoping you would speak about, and forgive us if it's necessary for getting you to speak about what we wanted you to in a little bit of a humorous way. Now, in regards to your question about others who begin to use this channel, will it indeed be a telepathic experience for them? And our answer to your question would be that yes, it would be a vehicle for telepathic communication with us that can be one-on-one with that individual and us. And then if they begin to speak to others, what they are hearing, then it would be channeling. Okay. All right, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
The experience of speaking telepathically is really, for me, it's just an intention to wanting to do so. So one example is when I channel every day, I have my microphone and I hook up to my phone, and I generally, I can channel anywhere, but I like to channel in my bed, nice and cozy, and just lay down and relax. And so I plug my phone in and I test my microphone, you know, and I do a few things, and then not until I actually push record, and the minute I press record, I hear, "Hi, Lori dear, we are with you," and or something like that Xanadu will say. And I think it's really interesting because they just know exactly when I'm ready, and it's like just immediate. I mean, it's like push, and I hear it, you know. But I've been watching this a little bit, because until I push that record, it's like just quiet. And I could ask them something, but it's just quiet. And then I just hit it, and then they just start up, which is interesting. It really feels like a relationship.
Yeah.
It does not feel like a strange event. It feels very natural. It feels very normal. It does not feel, it doesn't feel strange at all. It feels very normal. I think the only time I have challenges is when I don't trust what I'm hearing, which happens, I don't know what percentage of the time, but it happens pretty often, and it's getting better. But there is definitely a period of time where I went through when I would say a good 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks where my frequency of belief was challenged, and all I asked through that time was that I just meet with them every day to keep that bond, and they said that was normal for there to be a period of time where there is they would describe it as a frequency of disbelief. For me, that was really challenging, because it was like I was just questioning if it was them, if it was me, and then they couldn't win no matter what I did or what I asked them to do, because like I would say, "Can you tell me something that that I don't know?" And so they'd be like, "Sure," and so they'd tell me something, and then I would not believe it. Like I would not, and then they'd tell me something I would know, and I still wouldn't believe it. So it was like no matter what they would do, it seemed like it was not gonna, like they just couldn't win. It was kind of, I look back at it and it's kind of humorous, but
Sure.
From my perspective, that's been the most challenging thing. And in the last, I'd say, month, it's happened about twice where they say something to me about something, and I'm just like, no, nope, nope. And I'm just like, I just don't know. I just don't think that's, like, I'll judge what they're saying, and then it kind of falls apart for me. In the beginning, I guess I could say it, if this is pertinent. I just don't know what's pertinent, but I'm just gonna. Okay, so when the very first day I channeled, I had no problem understanding what was happening and no problem believing it. Okay, and after the first day, then it started to ebb and flow as far as my frequency of belief with it.
It's like every other day.
Yeah, it was. Actually, I forgot about that. It was every other day. One day would be a great channeling and I'd have totally belief, and then one day I wouldn't. The next day, that's really interesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That happened for a number of weeks. And then that kind of stopped, and it was good for a little bit, and then it went way down for like 3 weeks at a time. And I was like, I didn't know if it would come up again, and the only thing that I did is because they were very clear that we needed to channel every day, no matter what, and that would keep the bond. And they were very confident that the belief, my belief, would come back up. So that's really interesting because there were many days where I didn't want to channel because I just wanted a break. You know, I just wanted to relax and rest and not think about it. And I did that as much as I could. So that's why I stopped reading the transcriptions for a while, and that's why I stopped, like, what do you call that? Would you call it fixing them or?
Oh, well, just editing the transcriptions.
Editing the transcriptions. I stopped doing that because I just was like, I needed to not think about this, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but then after about 3 weeks, I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it seemed a lot longer. It seemed like 3 months, but it was only like 3 weeks. But, and then my frequency slowly started to come up. But in that 3 weeks, it dipped pretty low, and I didn't want to continue because I just thought this isn't working. But they just kept on telling me like a million times, just meet with us once a day. Just meet with us once a day.
They would say it would get better.
They did.
Yeah.
Yep. But I didn't even think they just, you know, I think I honestly would just say it was really an integrity thing. It was like, okay, I said I would do this and I'm going to do it. And that's kind of what it came down to for me because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I said I would and I will. That was a very short period of time where it was that way. So now it's interesting because it's only happened twice in the last couple weeks. And when it happens, I'm kind of a little more used to it. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm having I just kind of, when I'm channeling, I almost stop and I just kind of freeze and I think, okay, and I just talk to them and tell them that I'm not believing this, I'm having a hard time with this or whatever. And they'll respond to me and they'll work, you know, they try to work through it a little bit with me or talk about something else with me. If not, we just kind of, you know, maybe just we'll say, okay, well, we'll meet tomorrow. But the funny thing, this is the really funny thing, is in the time that I'm channeling, I think, nope, this is absolutely not right, whatever they said. And then it's right. You know, like it's like even after I'm done, I can see things differently. But when you're in the channeling experience, there's a lot of self-doubt in the beginning. And I still have it, but when I have it now, I'm kind of prepared for it. Like, I'm like, okay, I know this is going to happen at some point. I know this is, you know, it's like it becomes something you're prepared for. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
And you don't get emotionally so upset about it.
Yeah.
I know, actually, that's what they said to me a couple of days ago. It happened. I forgot why. And they just said, that's fine, Lori. They said, we're not emotionally upset about this. We're not, we know that your frequency is going to come up and they're fine. They were kind of they weren't totally concerned. And I was like, fine. I just said, let's just talk about something else. Sometimes that helps a lot, changing the discussion, because sometimes it's like something that is just hard for me to hear, or something that I'm not comfortable with hearing, or something that I might have an emotional response to, can be difficult. So we'll kind of talk through it a little bit, and then maybe change the subject and come back to it a different day or something.
Sure.
So I mean, but overall, what my point here at some point, what I was trying to say, is that it feels like a relationship, and I was like, who are you looking at? Sorry. It feels normal and natural. It feels like a relationship. It feels normal and natural. It's not like you feel like this echo in your head, or this like, oh my God, there's someone in my head. No. It feels like they don't yell. They don't yell.
Really?
They're very obviously loving and polite, right? They're very soft-shoed, if you want to say. They're very gentle, and the voice is always quiet, and so it's like you have to intentionally listen to it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to listen to it, you're not going to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I think you almost have to intentionally give space for it. Like you have to, give space for it, and then it's there. But if you don't want to hear it, no problem. It's not hard not to hear it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not loud, it's not abnormal, it's not unusual. It feels just like, I guess it feels like having a conversation with yourself, which is a little bit, that's why maybe there's so much disbelief in the beginning process of this. What I really like, and I know I like this, is when they surprise me, and I love it because it's like when I'm when I'm channeling, it's like I kind of know where they're going, and sometimes when they change topics, I'll feel that it's almost like I feel the energy of what's coming. But it's not like it's hard to explain. I think they get across to me what's coming in different ways. It's not all like words. In fact, most of the time it's not words. It's just like somehow I just know what they're saying without hearing words, which is confusing until you get used to that. But if I slow way down, like I really slow down, I can hear word, word, word. But most of the time when I'm channeling well, when I'm feeling good, I'm just talking and I'm trusting that process. But that takes some time to develop that, to trust, that trust. When they surprise me, I absolutely love it because I think they're going to talk one way, because they can have, what I want to say, like similar phrasing or patterning of how they talk with me. And if they just all of a sudden go like this and talk about something else I didn't expect, or they talk about it in a different way, or they bring in some like different language, I love it. And I'm like, oh, it's not me. I would never say that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's a strange thing, because I think that's probably I'm going to say the worst thing, or the most uncomfortable thing, is trusting that it is indeed them and not you. And I guess that's the only thing that's a challenge, because the alternative is I several times when this was happening the last couple of months, I would say, well, what's the alternative? I'm really smart somehow, which no, I'm not that smart. Somehow subconsciously I'm so smart that I can somehow do this, and I don't think that's possible. But if that was possible, that's the worst that could happen. It's maybe a higher self talking. What? Is that the worst? Okay, that's not so terrible. So that's what I've been telling myself, that, okay, I'm not crazy. The worst that's happening here is my higher self is, being very creative. So I don't know. It's, I think that is the most challenging thing, is just believing that you indeed are having a relationship with extraterrestrials. This is something for me that is, I guess for me, was the most, and not that they're extraterrestrials that bothered me. In the beginning, that really bothered me. Now that doesn't bother me so much, but it's just that I just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. That's what, I just want to make sure that is happening.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was, I think, really insightful, and I'd kind of known some of the stuff you'd said, but some of that was kind of new too, and it was really good to hear.
Well, I hope it's helpful. I mean, it's helpful.
Well, certainly it's going to be helpful for anybody that is also going to be starting or would be in a similar position as you, and maybe be having these same questions or self-doubts.